Over the past several years, the topic of gaslighting has become extremely popular, probably as a result of increasing awareness of its prevalence in both intimate one-on-one relationships and broader social contexts. The subject of gaslighting has especially been extensively discussed and analyzed within the context of domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and psychological manipulation within romantic relationships. Hey everybody, welcome to Psychology Element. Today, we are going to be talking about the basics of gaslighting and how to deal with this manipulation strategy. Make sure to watch until the end of the video. Hopefully, it will clarify some facts about this increasingly relevant topic and provide you with useful knowledge on how to recognize it and tools to stop or prevent it. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a popular term used to describe the kind of interpersonal manipulation where a deceiver is attempting to gradually undermine the victim's ability to distinguish truth from falsehood, right from wrong, and reality from appearance, by making the victim question their own memory, judgments, and perception. This insidious deception technique takes place over extended periods of time, and in psychology, it often refers to an abusive practice perpetrated in close interpersonal relationships. The purpose of this abusive tactic is to render the victim cognitively or emotionally dependent on the gaslighter, thus allowing the perpetrator to exercise his or her control over the target of their manipulation. Gaslighting is often done to induce a sense of self-doubt in the victim by delegitimizing their beliefs and perception of reality for the purpose of obtaining emotional control over the victim. Gaslighting is often associated with narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, and psychopathy. Although gaslighting is not a scientific term, but rather a popular one, it is recognized as a real and existing phenomenon by psychologists that have been trying to uncover psychological mechanisms by which it works, signs by which it can be recognized, and ways to stop or prevent it. It has also been endlessly discussed in online groups based around the topics of domestic violence, narcissism, and psychological manipulation. Where did the term gaslighting originate? The term gaslight first appeared as the title of the novel written by Bruce Hamilton in 1930. This novel was later adapted into a play by Bruce Hamilton's brother, Patrick Hamilton, in 1938, which was subsequently adapted into a movie, Gaslight, in 1944. In the play by Patrick Hamilton, the plot is centered around a woman and her husband, who is a criminal trying to steal the jewels from the upper floor of the woman's house. To achieve this, the criminal husband employs many different manipulation techniques, like hiding the wife's belongings, isolating her, and convincing her that she might be losing her sanity in order to achieve his goal. The gaslight itself, which is essentially light fueled by gas, is actually not a part of the manipulative strategies employed by the husband, but the plot of the play and the subsequent movie appropriately, although somewhat simplistically, describe the deceptive tactics that are often considered the core elements and forms of what we currently mean by the term gaslighting. What are the characteristics of gaslighting? In relationships, gaslighting is perpetrated by the mental abuser or victimizer upon a victim of that abuse. Gaslighting can be done either consciously or subconsciously. Its covert nature can often create blurred lines in intimate relationships as to who is the victimizer and who is the victim within that relationship, since partners can oscillate between those two roles. Gaslighting is a process that consists of two steps. First, the victimizer is attempting to disorient the victim by making them question the validity of their perceptions and judgments, thus compromising their ability to test reality. And second, the gaslighter is trying to instill his or her own interpretations of reality in the victim's mind in order to assert control over the victim. This can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, confusion, and sometimes even full-blown psychosis in the victim. Gaslighting tends to induce a feeling of low self-esteem and create emotionally charged cognitive dissonance, which is a discrepancy between a person's actions and their beliefs, values, and information. Psychologists have established that prolonged gaslighting can also create the so-called illusionary truth effect in the victim, which is a phenomenon where a person starts to believe that a lie is actually the truth because it has been repeated many times. What is the psychological explanation of gaslighting? Several psychoanalytic thinkers and researchers have theorized about and offered possible explanations of the gaslighting phenomenon. Most of them focused on the processes known as projection and introjection. Projection is a defense mechanism by which a person protects their ego from undesirable impulses by attributing them to another person. Introjection is the process by which one person incorporates, assimilates, and replicates thoughts, attitudes, and emotions of other people around them. The person who would be projecting in the case of gaslighting would be the abuser, and the person who would be introjecting would be the victim. These theorists postulated that both the victim and the victimizer would need to possess a very specific set of predispositions and characteristics to make gaslighting possible. For example, the victim would have to be more naive, submissive, trusting, while the victimizer would need to be more cunning, unscrupulous, and good at deception. When conditions like these are met, and the abuser is intent on gaining control over the victim, the gaslighting can take place. Learning something new in this video so far? Then make sure to subscribe so you can keep getting smarter for free. What are the common gaslighting techniques? Gaslighters often use various gaslighting techniques in order to manipulate their victims. These techniques include countering. This is a technique that consists of questioning the victim's memories. For example, the abuser might say things like, "You're not very good at remembering things. You know that sometimes you get confused about things that happened a long time ago." Or, "Trust me, I have a better memory than you do." Withholding is a tactic where the abuser refuses to engage in a conversation by claiming that the victim cannot communicate their thoughts clearly so they wouldn't have to respond. Statements like, "You're not making any sense," or "You're just trying to confuse me," are examples of this tactic. Trivializing refers to the abuser's tendency to belittle or disregard the victim's feelings. A classic example would be, "You're overreacting because you're too sensitive." Denial is a technique of the victimizer who is pretending to have forgotten events or how they occurred, or accusing the victim of making things up. For example, "I never yelled at you. You invented that." Diverting is a tactic in which one person tries to shift the focus of conversation by questioning the other person's credibility. Something like, "Let's drop this subject. This is just your friends putting ideas in your head." Stereotyping is a form of gaslighting in which the abuser will use negative stereotypes of a particular social group that the victim belongs to in order to discredit them and their thoughts and emotions. Something like, "Of course you're being irrational. You are a woman after all." How can you avoid or stop being gaslighted? No one is completely immune to gaslighting, but there are several methods you could implement in your relationship if you notice your partner's tendencies to manipulate you. 1. Be consistent in testing reality. If there is a noticeable discrepancy between yours and your partner's interpretation of a particular situation, and you notice that your partner is trying to distort it to fit their agenda, use your critical thinking and the ability to test your environment in order to remove excessive self-doubt. 2. Express your thoughts and feelings clearly. Be precise and concise in your verbal communication with your partner and don't let them twist your words. 3. Don't be impulsive. This will allow you to practice self-control instead of giving your partner an excuse to call you irrational and overly emotional. 4. End the conversation when you're not making any progress. If your partner starts accusing you of something you are certain you didn't do and doesn't want to hear your perspective, calmly finish the conversation and let them know that you will be continuing the conversation after they start appreciating what you have to say. This will help you to be assertive and not let your partner bully you into submission. 5. Always be aware of the fact that your perspective matters. Remain consistent in your desire to be heard and respected by your partner, even when there is a stark difference in your interpretations of the same events. Remember that everyone's opinion deserves to be acknowledged and taken into consideration, and that includes yours. So, this was our quick introduction to the topic of gaslighting. Like the video? Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any psychology videos. Also, make sure to check out our Dark Personalities playlist for more, and thanks for watching.